I built my dream creative studio from the ground up. No, literally, we started with nothing but land. It's hard to believe that just a year ago, this space was simply open walls and big ideas, but slowly I've transformed it into the creative studio of my dreams, filled with colorful ideas, storage of all kinds, a cozy lounge area for hanging and making art. Okay, maybe just naps. And now it's time to focus on the office space that will be the hub to help me run this little creative business with big dreams. Oh, and it also needs a space for a second human because, you know, your girl's leveling up. This space needs the biggest desk I've ever built, and if I'm gonna plan big, I'm calling in the big guns. Or little guns with big ideas? Can we get this giant desk done in only 3 days and not lose our minds? I mean, what could go wrong? We're playing with Epoxy, we're playing with Epoxy. Editor, roll the tape. Boop. This video contains an ad for Incogni. So a little while back, I sat on my couch up here and I made a general plan for how I wanted this office area to look. If you remember my original plan, I wanted to kind of create a U shape in the back area, and I would sit in front of the partition wall, and then Vanessa would kind of have a spot on the other side in the back. Many of you didn't love that Vanessa would be staring at a wall. She did appreciate that. And although it is just a part-time desk because she does work from her lovely office that I built her, let's all remember that. I do hear you. And although she didn't mind either, y'all had a point. I didn't want that for her either. Listen, I am no villain in my story, okay?
Pull the lever, Kronk.
So I did what any smart person would do, and I consulted with an expert, which I happen to be lucky to have access to many DIY experts in many DIY fields on my wonderful Patreon. My beautiful DIY community of creative friends, which if you are not a part of my Patreon and you would like to join, you're looking for DIY friends, you want to be around surrounded by creative people who have creative thoughts, come join us. It is linked in my description box. Okay. So I went to my friend Marie, my French friend from France, because she is incredibly talented at thinking outside the box. So we shared many photos and ideas and sketches, different desk setups of all kinds. So I want to share one of my favorite ideas that we played with, which Marie had actually turned into a 3D model. It's very cool. So she came up with this idea where the office became more of its own like personal space from the rest of the studio, because that was a concern I brought up. I thought maybe if it felt like more like its own little nook. So she designed this desk to sit in the middle of the designated space where both Vanessa and I could actually sit beside each other. There would still be an eye line out so you could see the lounge space and the door. Then using vertical space, we could have another wall from the lounge point of view to use for brainstorming, notes, calendars, you know, whatever. Now behind the desk, we had lots of cubby storage above for personal and office related things. And then the back wall was the original Alex units I wanted with a shelf above. There were peg rack walls on the sides for more storage or hanging a jacket. Never would I have thought of this idea. This is just so cool and such a great example of how you can think outside the box when looking at a space. Now, the only challenge with an idea like that was just the general openness of the space. Once I saw it in that 3D model, I was kind of worried it would feel maybe a little too confined, a little too stuffy. So after a few more back and forth, we landed on this idea where we kind of kept the essence of the original concept, but my desk would be on the other side and hook around just to kind of be like an L shape, so I could face the art lounge, see out the window, have a visual of the front door, and Vanessa could have her space where my original desk was, and all the storage would run on the back wall. This way, everyone has an open space to work, nobody's facing walls, and we still have storage. So I worked from that spot for a few weeks. Honestly, I really liked it. I could see the door. I liked the flow, the energy of the space, and I thought, okay, I think we have our idea down. And now you're all cut up, so I think we can execute. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen some of my stories sharing me loading up a big old pile of 3-inch, 14-foot maple slabs into the back of my truck, 6 of them to be exact. Now, the gentleman in that video is my bud Rod from the wood shop on Mill Street. He's a small business who sells beautiful kiln-dried wood in all sorts of species. So if you're watching from the Toronto area and you're looking for wood slabs, this is your guy. Go support small businesses. He's linked in my description box. But these slabs were not light, and Vanessa and I hauled butt to get these from the truck into the shop. Which way to the beach? Is it this way or that way? I got a stinking deal on these, but they were undressed, raw, live edge slabs, and I needed them to be planed, straight, and ideally all a foot in width at minimum, 10 feet in length, and a thickness of 1 3/4. So I had a lot to do, starting with removing the live edge and cutting these boards into something that resembles a usable board. I had my hubby helping me this day because they were super heavy and I just couldn't move them by myself. It's so frustrating. But we did manage to make them look somewhat like square boards. Playing with the big boys now. Wow. I knew my rust bucket of a planer couldn't cut it. It was time to just suck it up and buy a new one that could actually get the job done well. So I went with the 13.5 rigid. It's a good price and has a lifetime warranty attached to it. So, you know, I felt like I couldn't go wrong. Once again, I did have my hubs help me out because even with the live edge ends cut off, these were still ridiculously heavy at 3-inch thick. But we had a good system worked out. He fed, I received, and I would say each board got about 15 to 20 passes because most of the slabs were cupped, and for us to get rid of this cupped nature, we had to slowly remove bits of it, flipping each time so that we were working our way into the middle where we can actually get a flat straight board. This process did take some time, 6 hours of time to be exact. But you know what? After all that was said and done, those boards looked amazing. The planer worked great. And I gotta say, I was getting very excited to make these into my desktops. You know what? In the same way that I try to stay safe around big tools and heavy projects, I also want my personal information to stay safe, which is why I'm happy to thank the sponsor of today's episode, Incogni. I don't think that transition worked. We've all experienced those scam robocalls from people saying they're from the CRA or IRS or the police, or you get those emails that say click the link and it's a big malware hoax, or those scary AI scammers that mimic the voices of your family and friends and try to trick you into sending them money. It's scary. And if you ever wondered how they keep getting your number, the answer is data brokers. They often sell your personal information to companies to build these intrusive call lists. Your personal information is being sold or published online without you even knowing about it. But the good news is that we all have the right to protect our privacy and request that data brokers delete the information that they hold about you. Now, this is where Incogni comes in. They reach out to data brokers on your behalf, request your personal information be removed, and deal with any objections for their side. All you have to do is create an account, grant Incogni the right to work for you, and then you just kick back and watch them work. The process is fully automated, and I've had my Incogni account running for, I'd say, close to 3 months now. And in that time, my personal info has been removed from 56 lists with 5 more in progress. So here's the best part. Use the link in my description box and use the code DIY Danie, and it'll get you an exclusive 60% off an annual Incogni plan. My friends, we just have to protect ourselves in this digital age. That's all I can say. All right, let's get back to the DIY. So I had my bestie Sam fly in from Long Island to come and help me with this portion of the project. The slabs are just so thick, and it really does take 2 people to haul them around, and I knew with her by my side, I can accomplish anything in a short amount of time.
We're so good at this!
We're so good at our job!
Yes!
So our first task was to nail down the board lengths and widths for each section. I didn't have enough wood to miter the corners to make it look like a continuous piece all the way around, but keeping each piece separate kind of made it easier to build anyways. So our first step, just figure out what those sizes would be. Also, why does Sam have such nice writing? I'm pretty sure my writing is on par with a 3-year-old. You know what they say with people who have bad writing? Super intelligent, something like that. Now that we knew what board sizes we needed, we then had to look at each board and decide what would best suit each piece based on its current width and length, because all the pieces were different and we had to take two pieces to eventually join them together to make one big piece. So it was a bit of a puzzle.
56.5?
Yeah!
What?
The edges on all the boards were not yet beautiful like the tops and bottoms were. So once we knew what piece went to what and how wide we needed it to be, this provided us information on how much we could cut off the sides to make a good looking edge. We're using a plunge saw to do this, but honestly you can use a regular old circular saw or jointer if you got one, which I do, but these boards are so heavy and long that it would just been a nightmare to do. So we picked a path of least resistance and plunge saw it was.
Okay, we are going to connect these two boards together. So Sam brought a really fancy tool to help us do that, so we don't have to use regular dowels, which
This is way more fun.
this is way more fun, and this makes it so easy. So this is Craig's Mortise and Tenon
Joiner.
Joiner.
It's called a mortise mate, and it does
Mortise
mortise
mate.
and tenon joinery.
Mortise, is this?
Which sounds super fancy, but it really just means we're drilling holes and sticking fatter dowels in them.
The macaroni looking dowels.
Yeah, like the things you craft with in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And even better, you drill all the holes using a drill.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yay, new tools.
Yay!
Okay, so we need to decide what is our top and what is our bottom, because that's what makes this work. But okay, I feel like what we have in front of us, like this
Yeah,
is
I
a
like
good top.
this is
Yeah, I
awesome.
like the detail there too. So I think this is good.
I'm not gonna lie, the mortise mate was pretty cool. It made sticking two boards together pretty darn easy. You just mark a line across both boards, follow that as your guide, and place the jig in the right spot and let the jig do the work. So the board that was going to be the longest piece that sat at the back along the knee wall was the trickiest of all the boards, because I had one piece that could span the length we needed, but the second piece that was gluing up to it needed to be made up of all the offcuts from the other pieces. So you can kind of see me mapping it out there on the ground. It's not ideal to do it this way, but I didn't have enough material, so we just had to do what we had to do. Then it was just time to glue.
It's like mustard on a hot dog.
It was a long day, but it was a good day, and by the end, all of our pieces were glued up and clamped. Honestly, thank God I had enough clamps.
Okay, so I think we can probably just lift this up off and then. Looks good. Woo. Okay, so now that all the clamps are off, we're gonna start filling all the little holes and everything and all the gaps in with epoxy.
Are we doing like one color or multiple colors? What are we doing?
Well, I think your idea to go multicolor.
Yeah, to match the stained glass might be cool.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant.
I'm excited.
We do have cups.
Yes.
We need gloves.
Yes.
We need epoxy.
Yes.
And we need imaginations.
And good attitudes.
Hey-yo! Playing with the epoxy, we're playing with the epoxy, we're playing with the epoxy.
Yeah, Sam and I have been compared to being SpongeBob and Patrick together. A whole lot of fun, but not a whole lot going on up there, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have it any other way. We had a lot of fun colors to play with, and we thought, why limit ourselves to one color in the epoxy when you can have the rainbow? So our first step was taping all the cracks and edges where epoxy would be poured, and trust me when I say you most definitely do not want to miss a spot, or that epoxy will be everywhere but on and in your board.
I used West System mostly because I just had it.
Whatever works.
Use what you got. This is a 3-to-1, which is pretty easy for mixing purposes. But we're also going to be using this Gorilla Glue epoxy for smaller holes. This is like a 5-minute wait time. So for small stuff, this is like
The way to go.
the way to go. Way to go.
Way to go.
It's the way to go.
I love playing with epoxy. It's just fun. Like, you get to play with epoxy, you get to play with fire, and it's just so freaking satisfying to watch all of the gaps in your wood piece just get filled up and thinking like, this was a very unusable wood top and now it's very usable. Kind of amazing. I know that's the most simplistic way to describe it, but like, it's just really cool and fun. And doing it with friends is even better. By the end, we had a pretty mishmash of colors everywhere, which looks really bad right now, but once we sand it, it always looks much nicer. So we did have a bit of time to wait on the epoxy to dry, so I figured what a great time to do the wallpaper on the knee wall.
Okay, you want to see the wallpaper?
Sure do, Bob.
So I found this super funky wallpaper through a company called Livette's Wallpaper, and I gotta say, I had a really great experience working with them. I actually ended up ordering samples for 2 of their designs. The first one was called Retro Chic Wallpaper. So this one had fun kind of imperfect circles that you could get in different colors. And the second was called Abstract Funky Lines, which was this kind of funky squiggly line design. I wasn't fully sure how like, wha-bam, I wanted to be in the office. While I did want this space to be fun, I didn't want it to be like overly stimulating. So I was kind of leaning more towards the abstract design.
Ooh, I love this color. Oh yeah.
I can't remember what the color was, like the actual official color was.
It's like a dark bluish green.
Yeah, I remember it was like a wharf blue. No.
The color was called Harbor.
Ooh.
Okay,
Fun. Isn't that wild?
Well, now I'm gonna learn how to do wallpaper so I can put this wallpaper in my house.
But it's fun, right?
I'm obsessed with this. Okay, wait, so like, this isn't peel and sticks.
It's not peel and stick. We are physically gluing this paper to the wall.
So is this a good time to tell you I've never done that before?
Let's all learn together. No, it's really easy. I'm gonna show you how.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, actually, we need to put this down because we need to clean the wall.
Okay.
So the wallpaper material that I chose was their traditional style, which has like kind of like a paper-like finish that's applied using wallpaper paste. I prefer using paste, but you can order their wallpaper in a lot of different materials, which I was a little curious what that looked like. So when I got my samples, I actually got them in different material types. Like I said, the traditional is just like a paper-like finish, but they also had a fabric-based peel and stick, which feels a little bit thicker, but I kind of like that. It feels like it would be easy to work with. And then they also have their Eco Matte, which is also a peel and stick, but it's also in that like paper-like material. So it's kind of great because you do have options to play within depending on your space and what you're looking for. I provided Livette's with all of my wall dimensions ahead of time, so they just sent me the right amount of wallpaper to get the job done. So you only pay for what you need. And I gotta say, we breezed through this process. Added a good amount of wall paste to the wall, lined up the pattern with a small amount of overlap, and using a soft edge, I slowly worked any of the bubbles and the paper where needed. But I gotta say, this was one of the easiest wallpaper applications I have ever done. So big kudos to Livette's and like big thumbs up to my experience with them. After wallpaper, we put the baseboard in. Honestly, if Sam wasn't here, I don't know if the baseboard would have gotten done. I hate installing baseboards so much, but apparently she loves it. So there we go. She did a lovely, lovely job, honestly. Thank you, Sam. I have built many storage units and decided to give myself a little break and just buy 4 IKEA Alex units to store all of our office related things. It's what I saw for this space from the beginning, and I am very excited to not make drawers this round. Sometimes you just gotta treat yourself to a little self-love, and if that self-love is buying the solution, then hallelujah.
Okay.
We are intelligent human beings. We don't need...
Speak for yourself.
We don't need instructions.
Okay, I think this goes here.
Yes, and this goes here. This goes, oh wait. Yeah, this goes here and here.
So I bought some corner brackets. We struggled.
I need an emotional support animal.
That's me.
Today, you're my emotional support animal. I mean, what animal do you want to be?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe
a
like
manatee.
a fox.
Okay.
SpongeBob and Patrick. Yeah. We did eventually build them properly, and these will live in both corners. The outside legs will be the A-frames, much like the original desk.
You can do it.
Can I?
Yeah, come on.
I'm not warmed up.
You're flexible. You're still young.
I learned 2 things on this day. 1, Sam and I are not good at staying on task, and 2, I am not flexible. Now, I am happy to report the epoxy did dry and we finally were able to cut our board to their final sizes. Some spots did need some more epoxy. I mean, those boards were thirsty, but I will say it did feel pretty good to start seeing those tops come together.
Today, we're sanding.
Yay. We can do it.
Cheers.
Let's go.
Wait, I need to pee.
Sanding is one of those things that it's just not fun, but you gotta do it and you gotta do it right. So you gotta start with a low grit and work your way up. We're going to be putting a natural oil on this, so we don't wanna take it past a 120 grit or that oil just won't take to the wood well, but we had to remove a lot of epoxy, so we started with the 60. Once I finally got the epoxy removed on my piece, I could finally use the pencil method, which is making lines down your boards and just let the sander do the good work. Once the pencil line is gone, you can move on to a new section. It just kind of ensures you cover the entire board and don't miss any spots. And I did this many times over, working through my grits up to 120. To soften out the edges so they weren't so sharp, I used a router with a round over bit, and this just made the edges feel nice to touch. It's a preference thing, but I think it makes the top look a lot more high-end in my opinion. A lot of the tape that was on the bottom needed a little help from our friend Mr. Heat Gun, but it's amazing because once you hit the heat on that tape, it just shrivels up into nothing. It's like Voldemort at King's Cross Station when he becomes a shriveled prune. That's what the tape is. It's like, you know?
Okay, so I have recessed plug and I have desk hole. I need to figure out where I'm gonna put these. Like, I feel like I'm probably gonna sit moderately center to this desk, maybe a little bit left. So this piece would probably go here, and I think it makes sense to have this here.
I am a broken record, I know, but I am a power fiend and I always install power access into my tabletops because you just always need something to plug in, always. So I don't even think about it anymore. If I'm building a desktop, I'm adding power. That's it. I will report that although we did add a lot of color into the epoxy, it didn't really come through that well, mostly because we ended up mixing a lot of different colors together to fill in spots afterwards. It all just now looks dark, but it doesn't matter. It all functions well, and that's what's important.
Spacers?
1, 2,
3, 4. Sour Patch Kid.
don't eat the green ones, they're the worst.
What? What's wrong with the green ones?
They're the worst flavor.
I like the lime.
You can have all my green ones.
Okay.
So we just started bringing in each board to dry fit it up, and I was happy to report it all fit. We did something right. And oh boy, did that maple just shine. We then marked where our legs would go. I cut some holes. Sam glued down some spacers, and eventually it was finally time to add our wood finish. We used Rubio Monocoat in natural. Rubio is a beautiful wood oil that comes with a Part B hardener, which you can add if you expect your piece to have a lot of use or traffic on it. These are desks, so probably a good idea. And you really don't need much of it on your board, and the way it looks when you apply it is the way that your board's going to look once it's dry.
They're beautiful. I'm beautiful, thanks.
I think we're done.
I think we did it! Boom! Boom!
I am so sad that my best bud had to go, but I really couldn't have done that work without her. She is one of the best humans on this planet and makes even the hardest projects feel like a blast, and that's what creative friends should do. Make it all feel a little bit more fun. She is truly the Sam to my Frodo, so thank you, friend.
Good morning, friends. This studio is a hot mess, but the good news is I got a finished desk. But check this out. So I added in these 2 chairs. So I don't know if you guys remember this chair. I put this chair in Vanessa's office makeover, like a creamier version. I bought this chair for the inside office for Jeffrey, my husband, and I was like, I love this chair so much that I'm buying 2 for up in the studio. So it's just so good. It's wide set. So if you're a person who loves to like sit in a chair and cross your legs, or like sit on your one knee, this is the chair for you. It is linked in my description box. You will not regret it. But Vanessa's coming to stop by today, so I thought we could reveal it to Vanessa to show her new office space, her new desk. She finally has a desk. She's gonna be so happy. I'm excited to finally show her that she has a place to sit down and call her own. So I'm excited about that. So I'm gonna go grab her and we'll see what she thinks of it. Yay! Ready to see your new desk? Yeah. Come on up. Come in, come in, come in. Your very first desk in DIY progress.
I need a drum roll.
Drum roll, please. And
Wow, this looks amazing.
right?
Wow.
Look at your desk.
It's gorgeous. The wallpaper looks so nice too.
right?
Wow, I can't wait to sit here
Your
and actually
very
have a
first
surface to
desk.
work on.
And you get your own little personal drawers.
Love me a drawer.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm so excited. This looks so good.
Yay!
Good job.
I still can't get over how beautiful these maple tops turned out. The wood grain is so stunning, and this area is starting to finally look like a real office. The wallpaper just adds such a fun pop, and I thought I was going to really regret not going with the color, but I love the dark navy with this wood tone. It's absolute perfection. It's not too heavy, so I'm just thrilled. My friends, thank you so much for watching this journey to transform this crazy idea of mine into reality. The desks are done, but the DIYs are not over. Next week, we are DIYing a whole bunch of things to make this office space feel even more over the top and functional. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're not already following my channel, big shout out to my friend Sam, the DIY Huntress. If you aren't following her channel, I urge you to head over there and give her a follow, give her some love as a big thank you. And of course, sending so much love to my Patreon family, my forever DIY friends. Thank you for your support. And if you are looking for friends to support you through your DIY projects or encourage you, or maybe you want some creative people to just hang out with, my Patreon is definitely the place to go. It is linked in my description box. But of course, my friends, as always, stay positive, stay creative, love your magic, and keep on DIYing. Bye-bye.
Is it cute?